Hello. Happy April 26th. April 26th. So Saturday. Whew. Yesterday. Whew. That was pretty interesting in terms of what we talked about. Me and Christina are still working on recovering. Hopefully we'll feel better and be more awake and be able to sleep well and all that stuff going forward. It's getting closer to the end of the month. We have a couple of appointments coming up that we aren't looking so forward to. Or at least I'm not. Here, let me make a loud noise for you. I hope you enjoyed that loud noise. So today I would like to talk about responsibility. Anyway, when you do something, right, there's a consequence to that. Something, if you pick up a shoe and throw it, the fact that the shoe is now in a different place is a consequence of throwing it. We understand the basics, right? Something, consequence, action, consequence. And so in life, there's a lot of times and situations where there's negative consequences for our actions. When we do something and we cause something negative to happen, it is our fault. We're responsible for what has occurred. And that is understandable, right? When you do something wrong, you have responsibility for that. But there's also responsibility in terms of things that aren't necessarily your fault. For instance, if you work at a gas station and someone comes in and makes a mess, your job is to clean it up. You're responsible for it, even if you're not the one that initially caused it. That's where the issue comes with responsibility. Just because it's not your fault doesn't mean you aren't responsible for it. On the other hand, you have situations where you can do something you're not supposed to, and you can imply that somebody else is responsible. They're the ones that have to clean up your mess. They're responsible for it, even though it's your fault. On the other hand, we have a tendency to unload our responsibilities on others. And other people sometimes unload their responsibilities on us. When we have a shared responsibility, that's where you see that often. And we make excuses not to take care of our own responsibilities. Anyway, when we talk about God, we see that in Jesus. Jesus becomes responsible for all our faults. He's not the one that caused these issues, but yet he is going out of his way to take responsibility for them. That being said, this world has a lot of responsibility. Each of us has a huge amount of responsibility that is put on us, even if it's only partly our responsibility. Perfect example is pretty much every single product you buy. You're responsible to a certain degree about what that product is, how it was created, waste disposal, and everything about it. You aren't the only one that's responsible for it, that's for sure. These companies and the people, they're responsible for it as well. And they can definitely push that responsibility on you. And in this world, that means that we have a ton of responsibilities being pushed on us all the time. And that means that there's a lot more stress. I would argue that is one of the reasons why we have a lot higher level of mental illness nowadays. There is so much pressure, so much responsibility that is thrusted upon everyone. And even if they technically should be the ones that are having to deal with that responsibility, it does mean that the pressure is still on them. The environment is a perfect example. The biggest contributors to pollution and such are the companies. But yet they often push it on us individuals. which is a huge pressure. You're essentially saying the entire world is your fault that it's not working the way that it should. But you almost have no fault within it. But yet you're considered responsible for it. That's a lot of pressure. And sometimes we are unaware of how much pressure we have on us, as well as the pressure we put on other people. Anyway, that's just something to think about. You might want to be more careful about putting things on other people, making them responsible for things. Remember, the world, you can't solve every problem in the world. There isn't enough time or energy. And everybody is looking out for number one. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day and aren't getting too depressed about me and all my little whatever I'm talking about, whatever. Anyway, have a good day. Tomorrow's probably more dogs. Now to be extremely awkward for 15 seconds while I wait for the video end card.